via Trinity United Church, Legon. We discuss all kinds of issues, but today what we're zeroing in on is social issues such as, or specifically, B.E.C.E, when the children are going to write their B.E.C.E, what role the parents have to play in that. And that's the reason why we have Juliana Asante here. She's a member of the Trinity United Church, Legon, and she's also a teacher, and she would help us to talk about this topic. I believe we all will learn a great deal at the end of the day. So, Julie, you are heartily welcome to Let's Talk About.
Thank you, Uncle Ben.
Yes. First, let me find out from you. When we talk about the role of the family in the children going to write the basic education certificate examination, yeah, what would the parents have to do?
Yeah, parents have to do a lot. Thank you very much, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to share this. Parents have to do a lot, starting from when the child gets to school and getting involved from day one what the child's education is about. So mostly some parents put their child in school and that's it. Some parents don't even know the teachers that teach their children. They don't know a lot. But if we are involved in our children's education, from what happens in school, feeding, clothing, everything that has to do with the child, the parents can support through that.
So why is it important for the parents to know at least the names of the teachers, maybe to an extent that where the teachers live, you know, what are the certain backgrounds of the teachers? Why is it important for the parents to know all these?
Yes, so you have to be able to interact with the teacher and understand where the teacher is coming from, because sometimes teachers act and then you might not be happy with the actions of the teacher, or you may not understand why the teacher acts in a particular way. Also, if you have a very good relationship with your child's teacher, it boosts their confidence. And
that's the children's confidence?
The teacher.
Okay.
And they put in more at looking after your child. And so if the teacher is aware that this child's parents know me and they're expecting a lot from me, sometimes their attitude towards the child is different.
I know some parents seem to be so busy about what they do in life such that the thing about their children is of less importance to them. They say, I wake up very early to go to work. I am a banker. My wife is also another professional person who similarly is another thing that makes her wake up so early to go to work. So it's very difficult for us to be talking about some of the things that you are telling us today. Are they justified in saying those things or thinking that way?
It's understandable because it's difficult to, especially in Accra, difficult to be a career person, have certain professions, and still have to be involved in your child's education. It's understandable. But then it is not justified for you to ignore it. Because I'm sure that a lot of us want to be where we are and make the money because we want to look after our children well. But paying the fees and paying the monies doesn't get the work done at supporting our children. And so sacrificing time is also very important at getting involved in our children's education and supporting them.
Do we still have parent-teacher associations in the schools?
No.
Why?
So there has been several issues about policies, about decisions that are taken in schools. And so at a point, the government decided that the parents' association should be autonomous. They should be on their own. And so the parents meet and take decisions about their children alone. But then they have to consult the school and find out what the issues are and communicate it among themselves.
But Julie, this is a very personal question from me to you.
Okay.
But as a teacher, do you find that to be good enough? Where the parents will meet parents separately and then teachers will meet teachers separately? Is it good enough for the upbringing of the child in school?
Not so pleasant, but we work our way around it.
Okay, but I have the idea from you that it seems to be a government policy now.
Yes, it is a government policy.
Not all government policies are conducive to the betterment of children in school. Personally, I don't agree to that. That's my personal decision. Anyway.
That's
all right.
true.
So let's continue. Now, so the children whose parents do not seem to have time enough to check specifically their homework, because one of the parents will say, or the two parents may say, we come home so late, by which time the children are asleep, so we can't help them in their homework. But that's a critical part of a child's education, isn't it?
Yes, very critical.
And why should we bring them, as these parents who seem not to have time, why should we bring their minds onto the fact that it is very important that they create time for this?
So it's very important because when the child is in school, when the child comes to school, the activities there is to help the child get a concept. And there's a saying that practice makes man perfect. And so mostly the homeworks are for the child to either practice or have time to read more or get engaged or have more time to deal with the subject so that the child will have understanding of what he or she has studied in school. And so it's very important that we supervise the children to do their homework. Again, it's also a way for the teacher to assess if what he or she taught was understood by the child. And so, yes, homework is very important. And the way children behave, if you don't supervise, most likely they will watch TV or do something that is to them more fun and leave the homework, which probably they may be struggling with or just feel lazy to tackle.
And in some cases, I know the teachers insist that as parents or guardians, after you have helped the child in the homework, you have to sign somewhere to show that you actually, although some of the parents might not even supervise and just only sign.
Yes.
Well, it's for the good of your child anyway. So if you
Yes.
did sign, that's good.
Yes.
So if that aspect of the helping the child in the homework is also looked at seriously, it will help.
It does help a lot.
And now, Julie, there's another question. Sometimes the children, when you are helping them in their homework, and you, the parents, say something, they say, no, Daddy, Mommy, this is what the teacher said. What you seem to be telling me is wrong. What do you tell the children that they come home and tell us this?
Uncle Ben, we don't tell them anything. It's the trust that they put in their teachers. And so because they think it's the teacher who marks their exercises, is that for some children, they are closer to their teachers. And so they feel that whatever the teacher says is true. Sometimes they feel that it's the teacher who will mark. And so whatever the teacher says is what I have to do. So that is why sometimes they say that. But we can help this by getting to know the teacher. Sometimes calling the teacher and letting the teacher explain to the child, or agreeing with the teacher that we can also do it this way, and then the child would understand and listen to you. But then there's one thing I want to say about the homework. The homework is for the child. I I see a lot of parents struggle a lot to let their children actually get all the answers in the homework correct. And so sometimes they don't even allow their children to do the
No,
homework
are you saying that
themselves.
the parents go their way to answer the questions for them?
Sometimes.
And you are saying that's not good enough?
No. No. So you want the child to take the task, him or herself. And I know this is difficult for a lot of parents, but sometimes if you take the child through the concept again to help the child understand the concept, if you can't do that, that is fine. Then you allow the child to do the homework. But your task is not to help the child get all the answers correct, as in to get the marks. Your task is to supervise the child to understand the concept. And so sometimes a parent doesn't want the child to get, let's say, 8/10. But the purpose of the homework is not summative. I mean, there are two ways to assess a child. We have summative assessment, where you are taking the score to take a decision, as in to place the child or to move the child to the next class. So this is where we assess the child, maybe a class test, end of term exam, or like B.E.C.E. But most of the homework are for the child to practice what he or she has learned in school and to get the concept. And so don't really focus on the child getting the marks to the point that you do the homework or you do the task for the child doesn't get to practice what he or she has learned. Sometimes the homework is also to help the teacher understand whether what I taught in class, did the child get it? So if the homework comes back and the child had 3/10, it straight away tells me my method did not go down.
So you might have
And
to
so
change
I
a
have
little.
to change
Okay.
and take the topic again. But if it comes and it's 10/10, yes, it's done. And so if it wasn't the child's own effort in getting the 10/10, then that is a deception for me. And that's not going to help the teacher help the child to get the concept better.
And you know, when we were children, I don't know whether it still happens, we were giving homework, we took it home, well, of course, we have to take them home and do them and come back. And then the teacher says, no, you had this place wrong, you had that place right. And then there was the aspect of correction. Do you still do correction?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And from correction, I learned a lot.
Yes.
But some of the things that I didn't know, during correction time,
Yes.
in fact, there was one particular thing, I wasn't very good in math. And I had to do correction sometimes 6 times to be able to get a concept.
Yes.
I tried and tried. Somehow,
Yes.
at the end of the day, I got it.
That is very important in helping the child learn. And so if I didn't get it right, and I do it over and over again until I get it, then now I know that I've got it. But if I get it all correct, there's no point in correcting, and that means that the child has the concept and I can move on to the next topic or aspect.
Julie, I know you teach math, don't you?
No.
What do you
I
teach?
teach home economics.
Home economics?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
thought you were a math teacher.
No.
So I was going to ask a certain question, but I won't ask about that one any longer. So in home economics, for instance,
Yes.
what areas do you see the children not developing as fast as possible in understanding the subject? I'm asking this because my other question will explain it further.
Okay, so home economics has 3 aspects. It has the food and nutrition, clothing and textiles, and home management. Usually they struggle with the clothing and textiles.
Why?
It has to do with a lot of practicals, and it has to do with a lot of maths. So,
So you see.
so the math comes in there and they struggle a bit. Yes.
So what is this thing about math? And is it the concepts that as children
I
we're not
think
getting?
it's the mentality.
And isn't it also the fault of the teacher who was not able to break down the concept to our level, so at least we can make do with what we are supposed to do?
It's part of it. And then also, apart from the teachers, children also don't have time. So it comes back to getting supervised to practice a lot. Because with maths, you have to practice a lot to get the formulas stuck. Yes.
Please, as far as asking questions in class is concerned, are teachers very amenable to this aspect? Do they allow the children to ask questions freely?
Yes, we do.
And do you see some of the children be so inhibitive that some of them are afraid to ask questions?
Children are different. Some would want to ask so many questions. Others, there are times when you leave the class and a child is following you with questions because they don't have the confidence to ask the question in class. And so, yes, you have to treat everybody depending on who they are. Not everybody is confident to speak up in class. Yes.
Do you discover amongst the children those with special needs?
Yes, we
And do their parents know? And do they come to you to discuss the issue? And how do you treat it?
So that is part of helping your child learn. And so that is one reason why it is important for the parents or the family to create time to know their children. Even asking children what happened in school, what challenges they went through in school, helps you understand your child and be able to support them enough. There are children who struggle in subjects because they are struggling with a particular teacher. They don't have a good relationship with the teacher. And sometimes they are not able to tell teachers because they feel that we are colleagues, and so it won't be safe talking to the teacher. And so they want to talk at home. If their parents are not available for them to talk to, then that becomes difficult. But coming back to your question, sometimes a few parents know that their children have learning difficulties because they might not have been involved in helping them at home. Once you don't help the child, you won't be able to know your child and know that my child is not able to answer questions because she cannot read. And she cannot read not because she doesn't want to, but probably is dyslexic. Is struggling to even identify the alphabets and connect them with the sounds.
But usually this is the case. You have about, I don't know how many children that you have in a class. How is it possible to identify these learning disabilities in some of these children and attend to them appropriately?
Yes, my class sizes are huge.
About how many, 70?
No, currently I have 120 in Form 1, 120 in Form 2,
Whoa.
116 in Form 3.
And one person just standing there.
Yes. But we still do identify some of them. We are not able to help them as much as we should as teachers. And so we try to help those we are able to find out. Because for some of them, it's that bad. They can't read. Even in JHS 1 and 2, they can't read. Not because they are just lazy, but they have learning difficulties.
And Judy, are there, Ghana Education Service, do you have special schools for such special need children? Or they don't have any at all? They just put them all in one system?
Now we are doing inclusive education, which means that all the people with the learning disabilities should be in the mainstream, as they put it, so that they will learn from each other.
And has that been successful?
It's okay.
It's okay. Now, another question.
But then we have, sorry to cut you, we have special needs education teachers. You might not have some in every school, but you have them in the districts. That sometimes when you identify some that are beyond what you as a teacher can handle, you can refer them to them.
And I think that parents have more duty to also identify some of these challenges in the children and don't talk with you as a teacher.
Yes, so you can only identify that if you are helping your child at home.
Now,
so if you are involved in helping your child when the child brings the homework to school, you are checking to the house, sorry, you are checking your child's classwork book, you are coming to the school regularly to check your child's progress. Okay, so your child was at point A in term 1. If you are coming to the school to check whether your child has moved from point A to point B. Sometimes parents are so interested in the marks their children get, and we are not interested in the progress of the child. So my child was at point A in term 1. I should be interested in my child moving from point A to point B to the next point to the next point. If your child is the first in class and has always been the first in class and is not making progress because the others behind your child are weaker, then your child is not progressing. But you should be interested in your child moving from one point to the other. That's important. And so you can only find that out if you're helping the child and also coming to the school, finding out from teachers, looking into their books to see if...
Or you can even call the teachers,
yes,
on phone,
yes,
and find out how well or not well the child is doing. Yes. When my children were in the basic school, sometimes we were asked to come to the school. They had their exercise books around, and the teacher would be there. And so we looked through the books, and then there were questions that needed to be answered if we thought so, asked the teacher. And so we have a general appraisal of what my children were doing. But a particular day, we went for such a meeting, and there were only 5 parents who came.
Yeah. Parents are busy these days, very busy.
Now, if you're too busy yourself and do not have a stake in your child's education, I think your business is neither here nor there.
So that's the point we want to try to drive home, to let parents understand that there has to be some sacrifice. There has to be some sacrifice, especially for time. I think most parents don't have a challenge with sacrificing money or items, materials. But time is the greatest challenge for parents to sacrifice. Yes.
Okay, so another question is this. How about if the parents themselves have not gone through the formal education? They can't. My mother, for instance, never went to school. I don't ever remember the day I sent homework home, and my mother came to assist me. She doesn't know. She didn't know how to read and write. My father didn't even finish those days, what they call standard 7.
Okay.
And we helped ourselves all along. By the grace of God, we are where we are. Yeah. So in such a case, what do you recommend?
So helping your child at home doesn't necessarily mean, like I said earlier, doing the task for the child. And so what is important is creating the time, the space, and supervision for your child to do the task that he or she has been given. And so if you are not in the position to read and help your child, that's fine. You create the time, you create the space, and you supervise. And then you follow the child when you can to the school, so that you find out from the teachers, is this child doing well? And then it will be explained to you what is going on with the child. And that is why if that child does the homework or the task, him or herself, and it comes back to the teacher and the teacher realizes that the child did not get it, it is the teacher's responsibility to help the child get that concept. And so the most important thing for us is not your contribution to the child getting it correct, but creating the space, time, and then the supervision for the child to take the task.
And sometimes
that's important, and it is enough.
You see, the children also may have different learning methods by which they imbibe a comparatively easier way, what they are taught in the class. For me, I've never read any book from page 1 to the end. But if you put them in pictures, things in pictures and in audio, I'm able to just get along with it easily. Yes. Are you able to find out these learning methods in the different children and use them to help them as such?
So for the classes we have, it's difficult for you to identify that this child learns by this method, but you are trained to use the various methods. And so it's important that as you speak in class, you write. And because as some listen to you and they get the concept, others will picture what you have written, and that's it. And sometimes you have to show pictures of what you are teaching. So those ones are specifically for teachers. Because of the class size I handle, it's difficult for us to identify the children by the methods they learn. But as a parent, if you have that idea, you can identify that with your child. And it's easier for you because it is one child or two children or probably 4. It's easier for you to do that with your children. And that is why it's important for you to get involved.
So how many of these learning methods do you have? By observation?
Yeah.
Just as the teacher writes.
Yes.
And the teacher also, as the teacher writes, is also speaking. Some are listening.
Yes.
Not necessarily looking at what is there. Is there another method?
Yes, so there's the question and answer method.
Okay.
To teach. So I ask questions concerning the topic, and then the children think about it. As they think about it, they get the ideas about it. As they answer the questions, we are trying to arrive at what we are learning. So the question and answer method is one teaching method. There's a lecture method, but it is not encouraged in the basic school because children don't learn so well when you are just talking to them. They learn by doing an activity. And so an activity is question and answers. We have role play. So sometimes you want to put a concept there, and then you get the children to role play the concept by themselves. And that one gets stuck more. You have the group learning where you give them a task to perform, and then we come back and then discuss what we did in the groups. So those are all methods.
Are all the teachers well resourced to be able to do what you are telling them?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me remind you
once you went through training, you should be able to do that.
Let me remind you that we're streaming live on our social media platforms, Trinity United Church Leon, on both YouTube and Facebook. You can send your comments and questions to the comment section on your social media platforms, or to our WhatsApp number 0501 57996. I believe it's on your screen, 0501 57996. We'll be back in a moment before you knew it.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases.
Yeah, welcome back to Let's Talk About, coming to you from Trinity United Church, Legon. And today we're talking about preparation for students who are going to take the basic education certificate examination, what role the parents have in there for them. So that's the reason we have Juliana Asante here. She's a teacher herself. And so, Julie, I think this time we'll look at the examination itself. That's the B.E.C.E, Basic Education Certificate Examination. What kind of preparation do you give to the children?
So as teachers, we have taught them from JHS 1. I teach JHS. And so...
That's the junior high school.
Junior high school. So from JHS 1 to now, you should have finished all the topics for each subject, and then we do revision. Yes, so for teachers, I mean, that's where we are now, revision. And as part of revision, we write a lot of mock examinations. This is supposed to expose them to a lot of questions and how to answer them. So when they see the B.E.C.E questions, they are used to answering questions like that. Yes, so.
How about the emotional preparation? You know, some children, when they are about writing exams, they are fidgety, some of them are scared, some of them even go sick,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and all kinds of things happen. So how about the emotional preparation?
So emotional preparation, we talk to them. As teachers, we explain to them that once you have studied and you are prepared for the exams, no need to be scared. I mean, for all of us, examination brings about some kind of stress and anxiety on us, and it's important that we manage it and help them through, especially because this is the first time they are going to write an external exam. And so that fright might be there, that anxiety might be there, but counseling them, talking to them, letting them realize that preparation helps you to take it easy. It helps them calm down.
And how about examination malpractices? Do you speak to them about those issues?
Yes, we do. We do. We tell them, I mean, if you are caught, there are consequences. And so we tell them about the consequences of going into examination malpractices. We tell them about the fact that it is wrong to cheat in exams. And even if you are caught, there are consequences that you face. And that includes your exam, either withheld or cancelled. Sometimes your entire B.E.C.E results can be cancelled because you you misbehaved in the examination hall. Yes.
I've sat in an examination, so this is a personal experience. And you see some of the teachers assisting the students with foreign materials for them to copy. What are the implications if a teacher did that, both on the teacher and the students?
Yeah, so if you are a teacher or an invigilator and you help a child cheat in exams, you are arrested and either fined or jailed. Yes.
I think this is very important. Just before the children write the basic education certificate examination. So some of them might think, oh, it's a normal thing to do. But this is not normal at all. It's abnormal.
Yes.
So you get it ingrained in their consciences.
Yes.
That is wrong,
Yeah.
this is right,
Yeah.
or that the teacher has taught you, you are able to recall.
Yes.
If you relax and not be anxious
Yeah.
and not perturb about anything.
Yeah.
Very, very important. But Julie, let me find out from you. There's something here in Ghana we call apo. Apo.
Yeah.
And sometimes the parents go out to buy the apo. You explained the apo to us very well. What can the apo thing do to the children?
So
Especially when their parents are assisting them to get this apo.
yeah. So this is very, very important, like you said, and it is getting worse as the days go by. But I think APO is getting the examination questions before you actually get to the exams hall. So before you get to the hall, you have questions that you think are the questions you are going to answer. And so you prepare your answers before you get to the examination hall. And that sort of is supposed to give you a head start to help you answer the questions. I think this happened because we think we are not prepared enough. Because if you think you are prepared enough, if your child is prepared enough, and because you are saying parents, but yes, parents do sometimes, because placement is done, placement in schools are done based on your performance in the B.E.C.E. And I want my child to attend all the nice schools, Presec, Okwapeman, that's where I attended, so I have to mention Okwapeman, the Wesley girls, the Brie girls. I want my child to attend, and I want my child to make the grades to go there. So I have to, as it were, assist my child in a way. But the way to assist your child is not to teach your child to cheat, because getting the apple before the examination is cheating, and the Bible does not, as Christians, does not teach us to cheat. It doesn't also help the child to learn. The examination is just a part of the child's education. And this will not help the child to take the education and the learning serious. So if the child is aware that when it's time for me to go and write, my parents will get me a po, or my teachers will help me, then they won't study. And that means that they have no knowledge or skills for their lives. Because whatever they are studying at this stage of their lives is to prepare them for their future, to help them carry out the task that they have to do as they work. And so if as parents, it's serious, because the child looks up to you and the child believes whatever you tell them to be right. And so if a parent, you are buying a pot or getting a pot for your child, you are actually endangering your child's life, because the child will relax, not learn anything, and then the child may pass the exam even if the child is not caught, The child may pass the exam all right, but has no information or no skill or no training to do the tasks that they are supposed to do when they eventually get jobs. And that is why these days we see a lot of people who have degrees, who have certificates that they cannot work to prove that they actually earned those certificates or degrees. Because these things happen almost at every stage of education.
There's a question by Julius Lexley Niso Akwashi, and it says, does the Ghanaian education structure help us discover the strengths of children at an early age? What can parents do to set their children up to maximize their strengths and potential very early?
Yes, so the Ghanaian education is supposed to help us, and I'm using supposed to help us discover the strengths and the weaknesses of the children. The difficulty we have in public schools is the large class sizes that doesn't really help the child the teacher to be able to focus on each child and assist them as they should. So yes, as for the curriculum and the system, it's supposed to help us find their strengths and weaknesses.
What can parents do to set their children up to maximize their strengths and potential very early? Or have you answered that question?
No.
Okay.
So the parents can have a conversation with their children. And like I said earlier, get involved in your child's education as early as possible. As you do the tasks with the children or the child, you realize where their interest is, you realize where their strengths are, and then you will be able to begin to direct the child on their path and help them maximize or improve on their weaknesses. But if you are not involved, and unfortunately your child is in a public school where the class is so large that the teacher cannot help your child discover, then that becomes a challenge.
And I think Kingsley Neti seemed to be hinging on some of the things that you are talking about. And he says a class of 120 pupils or students is huge. Yeah. Is it that there are no classrooms to split this class into 3 or 4? Is it that there are no teachers to teach?
So the challenge is the classrooms.
But the teachers are there?
Yeah. But there are no classrooms to split. We want to even split into 2. But there are no classrooms to split.
And what's the current education service doing about this?
Currently, we are getting a 6-block classroom. And
that's for your school?
Yes, for my school. So we can
who is funding this? Is it the parents?
The municipal assembly.
Assembly,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So that's why I think that with the parents association, or this time parents association, they can also come in and help, can't they?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's their children who are being educated.
There are schools that the parents association help them to get the classroom.
And that is allowed?
It is. It's allowed. Sometimes it's just 1 or 2 parents who do not want to sacrifice any money that complain to the authorities about this. But sometimes the parents association come together, collect their monies, and put up the buildings for the school so that their children will have a better.
Julie, there's another question. Sorry if I rudely cut you.
That's fine.
Now, Daniel Kuchwati says, indeed, parents have critical roles to play in their children's education. I suggest that the Parent-Teacher Association be reinstated because it has good fortunes for child education. I
agree, but that's a government policy, so that decision can be only made by the government.
But without the T, which is for the teachers, the parent associations are still working.
Yes,
and
they
they are
working.
contributing
Yes.
to the upkeep of the children and the schools that their children
Yes.
are in. And this is a very sore point about public schools. I believe with the private schools, it's not the case.
No.
Because there it's assumed that they pay so much for
Yes,
fees,
yes.
so they can cater for some of the things that
Yes.
those in the public schools
Yes,
are struggling with.
Yeah, so because they pay a lot, they don't get to a lot of the children coming to their schools. Yeah, but the public school is free. And so, and the government policy says don't turn parents away. So as long as you have space, you are supposed to admit.
Which is informing the large class
Yes.
that you have.
Yes.
And yet the classrooms are not available to cater for them, particularly in splitting some of the classes.
Yes.
And the teachers are there, to
Yes.
teach.
Yes.
But the space is not good
Yes.
enough.
Yes, and so in my school, for instance, you have the primary schools, 2 teachers in 1 class.
Do what?
Yes, because the teachers are there, but the classrooms are not there. So it's a large class, it's supposed to be 2 classes. And so there are 2 teachers in the classroom teaching the 2 classes in 1 classroom.
Now, isn't that the case that you have teachers by subjects in the primary schools? Or that's not the case?
No.
You have a class teacher
Yes.
who teaches, the
Yes, all
omnibus
the
style,
yes.
everything.
Yes, so in this case, they share the subjects. So if there are 10 subjects, they share it.
So in order for them to be given employment, they have to fix themselves too there.
No,
What's the
it's
reason?
not the employment, it's the class size.
I mean, by the 2 teachers who are put in 1 class.
Yes, the
So-
class is large.
Large.
And for a JHS class, I teach 1 subject.
Okay.
But for the primary, they are supposed to teach 10 subjects. So if the teacher has 100 students in the class,
Okay.
or 100 pupils in the class,
Also,
and it's
in the-
supposed to mark for all the 10 subjects.
Okay.
That is tiring.
Okay.
And so 2 teachers are put there. So instead of 10 subjects, each one is doing 5.
So when it comes to marking, for instance, they can
like
share.
at least. And also to control the class.
Mm.
It's difficult especially in the lower class, to control such large numbers in 1 classroom.
So in the basic school, it's 1 teacher per class. But in the
Yes.
junior high school, it's teacher
There is
per subject
teaching.
per
Yes.
class.
Yes.
I get the difference now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because we're talking about the family role
Yes.
towards the children regarding the B.E.C.E, Basic Education Certificate Examination. Now, when it comes to that time, few moments or weeks or days before the examination, what critical role would the parents have to play to ensure somehow, some way, that the children go in there, do the right thing, and come out and enter the senior high schools, which is what they desire?
Yeah. So the parents are supposed to, from JHS 1, you should let your child understand that he or she is an examination, is a candidate. And so right from there, you start helping your child to learn. Sometimes we create the time and the space, and then the children go to sit, but they don't know how to learn. They don't know how to study.
You don't teach them the way they should learn?
Not everyone knows how to learn. And so, yes, they are taught in school, but as a parent, you are supposed to also support your child to do the learning. Okay, so teach your child things like reading through the notes, also trying to comprehend, understand, put meaning to what they are reading, and sometimes make notes out of what they have read. That is how the child learns. So if the child has been able to do this right from Basic 7, which is JHS 1, till now it's revision. And you are supposed to support, as a family, support the child by still making sure that the time you have created for studies is working for the child to do revision read through the things he or she is supposed to have learnt already. If at this time you are now learning, it's quite a challenge because it's going to put a lot more pressure on you. This time we have just about 3 weeks or less to go and write. So it's supposed to be revision for all subjects from JHS 1 to JHS 3. It's a lot. So that's why it's important to me that we get involved quite early. So from JHS 1, your child has been learning every day. When they come back from school, they learn, okay? And then now we are doing revision. Apart from the revision, we are also supposed to support by talking to the children and calming them down because of the anxious moments. Some of them, when it gets to this point, they don't want to sleep because they think they have to do everything now. But if they don't sleep, they will break down. And so we are supposed to talk to them, give them the routine, time to study, time to sleep, time we help them wake up, or time we wake them up to sit down and do revision. At this time, if it is possible, we limit the chores that they do at home so that they can make more time to revise. After the exams, they can come back to whatever they were doing before. So we limit or reduce the chores, the things that they help us with at home, and take that responsibility ourselves or give it out to other people to do for us. We are also supposed to make sure that they are feeding well. Some of them may say we are fasting just so that we will do better in the examination, and they end up starving themselves. And not nourishing properly does not help you assimilate when you are learning. And so it's important that we watch that they are eating well, they are drinking enough water, they are drinking enough fluids, and we are making sure that they are in the best of their health to be able to take the examination when it's time.
And then this other point, very important to me. What would you recommend as a teacher to parents? Just how many days or hours should you just break from review and relax? Because I know personally when I'm very relaxed, my sense of recall is faster. So what do you recommend?
Sometimes it's different from individuals. Like individuals are different. I am like you. I don't want to look into any paper. If I have a paper like 8 a.m., by last night I should have finished, or by the night before I should have finished revision. Some people want to do some glancing, maybe an hour to time. But the most important thing is that the child shouldn't be under so much pressure close to the examination time.
About how many hours before the examination time?
Let me say 2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
Sometimes it's dangerous to wake the child up at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. They don't have enough sleep. And then they come to the examination center so tired. And the brain is not even relaxed for them to recall, like you're saying. And so it's important that you let the child have enough sleep. For a child, at least, I think 8 hours of sleep is good. So at least the child should have that 8 hours of sleep in the morning, get up, eat well, and then come and get ready for the exam.
I know that with the schools that the children are, not all these schools are the examination centers. Some of them have to travel distances. So can we fault them if they are late and going to the centers and not relaxed enough and all that?
Yeah, so for now, at least GS is trying, or let's say WAEC is trying to bring the centers really close. And so most of the schools are centers now, and a lot of the schools have to can't even walk for about 10 or 15 minutes to their centers. And so it's not really a long distance. And so it's important that we create the time for them to
And
to
for some of
rest.
these children, the centers that they have to go to, they've never been there before. And some of them intimidated by their new space that's
Yeah.
created for them in this
Yes.
examination period.
Yeah, so that's also one of the things that creates the anxiety for the children. The fact that they are in a different environment altogether, they are not seeing their teachers, they are not being supervised by their teachers, because all the time they were writing examinations, it was their teachers supervising or invigilating them, and now it's new people altogether. But we can talk to them to understand that it's not strange, it's just new people. It's not, it doesn't make it difficult because you are in a new environment. After all, you might be seeing the same questions that you may have seen in mock examinations or even your class exercises. And so talking to them really helps to curb that.
And can we as parents also take, if very possible, these children to the examination centers just to have a feel of how the environment is like? Is
Yeah.
it advisable?
Some parents do, but there's a limit to how close you can get to the school. Even for teachers, we are not supposed to get to a certain point in the center.
At least you might not be allowed to go into the rooms.
No,
but
no,
just to look around,
Yeah, you can
yourself
take your
with.
child to the school, and then when the examination is about to start, you are supposed to leave the premises. You are not allowed to stay there for the time.
So on this case of Apo, what would you tell us parents? So we desist from the act.
Yes. So,
And yes.
yes. So it's important that we understand that the education is to train our children for the future. We want our children to do well, yes. But if we support them to read and learn and prepare for the examination, let's trust that our children will do well. I have large numbers, and sometimes you prepare and you are taking the pupils to the candidates to the examination hall, and you are not sure. But I have seen them do well without the apple. And so for me, I'm very confident that if you don't give your child the apple, they will still do well. And that way, whatever aggregate or whatever grades that your child make, you are sure that this is my child's strength. And you are able to direct the child through that. B.E.C.E is the first examination they are writing. Some of them do extremely well when they get to SHS. The word is not coming, but let me use mature when they progress. And so it is not about they making the ones now, which is not their strength. If the child is making the ones and it is the child's strength, excellent. But making your child get the ones when it is not the child's strength, sometimes we'll even let you place the child in a subject that or a program that is not the child's strength. And so the child had all ones, and so you believe that your child can do science. But the child did not make the ones by his or her strength. And you place that child in science, and now the child is going to struggle because the child doesn't have the information to continue where you have placed him or her. And so it's important that we allow the children to work themselves, know your child's actual strength. I know that examination is not really a good way to assess a child's strength, but if the child has studied and has gone through the support to answer questions, and you know that this child did this on his or her own, it helps you to direct the child properly, and then you get the best out of your child instead of doing the task for the child, and then at the end of the day you might frustrate your child somewhere.
Julie, let's see, for instance, we are in the examination center and the question paper has been brought. there are a few things that we have to take notice of. For instance, you are given 30 minutes for a set of questions. Do you necessarily have to start with question 1?
No.
What do you do?
So you start with the questions that are easy for you, because you are going to spend less time working on them, and then you move on to the ones, like you move in that order.
But you have to remember to put a question number.
Yes.
So it will go with
yes.
which one you are answering.
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of the day,
you are supposed to number your questions, but start with the easiest one.
And you must also plan how to answer the question.
Yes.
Just take some few minutes, write a plan for answering the questions.
Yes. So what I tell my students, use about 5 minutes, go through the questions. For my subject, we write in the answer booklet. The question booklet. So there are spaces created for you, so you don't even need an extra answer sheet. And there are marks allocated to every question. So let's say first question says, what is nutrition? 3 marks. So for me, you should take some 5 minutes or 3 minutes, go through it, calculate what you are sure you can answer before you even tackle the question, because you are supposed to select 2 questions. Question 1 is compulsory. The 3 others are, you are supposed to select 2 out of the 3. And so for me, those 3, read through them, calculate what you are sure you are getting before you select the questions that you are going to answer.
And I believe, sorry, please complete.
So you don't jump to, I saw nutrition, I learned it last night, it has come, so I'm writing nutrition first. Meanwhile, all the other questions following that, you are not sure you are going to be able to answer. So we take them through that as teachers. And if parents remind them of that, it will be a reinforcement.
So I believe that it's very critical and very, very important that you as a child understand the question that you are being asked. Don't let it seem as if you have seen this question somewhere before. It might not be the same thing. Yeah. So you are writing per what you saw before. And you might digress completely.
Yeah, it happens to children a lot. And sometimes they feel like, oh, it's so easy. And so they end up deviating from the question they are supposed to answer.
All too soon, we've come to an end of Let's Talk About, coming to you from Trinity United Church, Legon. It's been quite interesting with you, Julie. Thanks so much for coming. And we want to say a big thank you to Julie once again. Join us same time next week, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Another interesting